Okay, so here's some update. This is what I've got going on the bottom of the intercooler. This is a 3-inch cast elbow, and this is a 3 to 4-inch also cast elbow. I like running these because the inside radius is really nice and tight. Same casting as the end tanks on most intercoolers. And I think I'm going to be welding this to the intercooler right about like that. I've got it marked right there. And then that'll clear the steering rack. It doesn't look like it, but let me line those marks up. And I've got about a 1/4 inch of clearance. And I've got clearance on the fan. Maybe hard to show it. There you go. You can see some daylight, but it's hard to do this all underneath the car. And then I'll be wrapping the exhaust, so I won't care too much about sharing heat. So this is pretty much how I have the intercooler going. I've got the bottom half tacked up. So from the turbo through the intercooler up into a 4-inch, couple of mount brackets on the back, and I've got it tacked right now because I don't know if I can get it in the car. I do have a lot more space than I used to, but I might have to, that crossbar where the turbo and the intercooler are mounted, may have to loosen that and finesse it around a little bit to get it in. And I don't want to weld this thing if I have to take the turbo out every time I want to take the intercooler in and out. So if I can't get it in, then I'm going to have to change how I'm going to do things with the intercooler and turbo and stuff. So good news, I only got to take the throttle body off to get this whole intercooler conglomeration in place. It's really nice. It's all one piece and can't really go anywhere. So I'm gonna throw it in there and hook up all the everything, and I'll hook up the blow-off valve, and maybe we'll make some blow-off valve noises. That'll be motivating. Now that it's in, I can put the throttle body on. Really nice having this manifold now. Well, I probably would have built the turbo kit different if I did use the straightforward throttle body setup. Maybe it would have been easier. Who knows? The world may never know. Anyways, so I got it mounted right here and right here, and obviously got the boost coupler on. Just slide this back and then put the, everything in place, and then slide it forward, and then it goes over the turbo. We can kind of move it around and see if it's hitting anything, and I don't hear anything, and I'm moving it pretty good. So let's go underneath and check it out. All right. So yeah, quite a bit of clearance on the rack ended up being, which kind of sucked. So this clearance right here, I can put my finger in between it. It was kind of what slowed everything down as far as this side is concerned, because the intercooler needs to set back, and you're playing this game of how far it sets back versus your clearance on your steering rack. So that's something to take into account. But I'm glad I didn't have to really move anything. The ABS module can stay where it's at. It's over here, and it doesn't impede on anything. I will have to run a 90 probably for the water fitting over here and over here, both facing this way. And then I'll just run hoses down and around. I'll figure out how to route the rubber hoses and stuff like that. I'll probably end up running 5/8 hose, because 5, 6, maybe 10 pounds of boost, maybe. Probably stay around 6. I don't know if I'm gonna go stay on pump gas or go on E85. I'm definitely gonna build the fuel system to support E85 if I want to, which is probably smarter, but honestly, I'm not looking to get every single little ounce of horsepower out of this thing. I'm just looking to get boost in it, and if 10 pounds of boost or 6 pounds of boost is safe on pump gas and it makes, 500-600 horsepower, it's gonna be plenty fun. Just a fun car, with a ratchet pipe down the side of it. So Yeah, let's see if we can make some blow-off valve noises today. Okay, so everything's loose right now as far as the throttle body is concerned. I'm not gonna put clamps on any of this right now because I don't want it to make boost. Maybe it'll make a pound, but it's gonna have a ton of boost leaks and stuff like that, so that's good for now. Don't think it's gonna make boost unless you load it up or whatever, right? But it will make enough to hear the blow-off valve. It'll make enough air, right? That's all you're hearing is just the turbo making air. But yeah, so that is connected to the cast elbow down there. 4-inch MAF housing. Obviously, you can see I had to add a spacer here to get the Maserati height on the MAF sensor, because it is sensitive to that. It is a 4-inch pipe, but you have to raise the height on the MAF sensor for it to read correctly. And potentially in the future, I might even have to raise it a little bit more to get the air signal cleaner. But it's got the internal honeycomb, so hopefully the air signal is clean enough, and we don't max out the MAF at 6 pounds of boost. If we do, we just scooch that little MAF sensor out a little bit, and there you go. But 4-inch pipe is actually really good. A nice little bonus that Maserati uses 4-inch pipe, so you can use 4-inch pipe to help not max out the MAF sensor itself. We'll see though. Nobody's done this, so you know, we're just doing everything for the first time. So but yeah, contingencies for that MAF sensor not reading right pre-turbo is that the turbo is 4-inch itself, so 4-inch pipe goes in, no MAF sensor, and then MAF sensor goes pre-turbo. That's it. And then I would have to change the blow-off valve to recirc, which would be the tile 50 QR, because that's the tile 50. I like atmosphere because I want to hear it. You know what I mean? That's part of the experience of a turbo car is hearing the blow-off valve. So having the MAF sensor post as far away from it as you can, like that's the only way you can go external blow-off valve. Unless I got to do some research or something, maybe there's a way that I can go external blow-off valve and have the MAF pre-turbo. But if you do that, then the MAF sensor just reads air, and it thinks that the air that's going out the blow-off valve is actually going into the engine. So maybe that's something that a tuner can tune out. I don't know. I'm not a tuner. I just talk to them and see what I can do and what I can't do. So anyways, if you recirc the MAF or the blow-off valve post MAF, then your air that you're using is correct. Like the MAF sensor signal is the air that you're using. When you put the MAF sensor pre-turbo, having it post-turbo like I have it allows us to do the blow-off valve external. Anyways, I think I probably beat a dead horse on that many times in my previous videos and stuff like that. But let me tighten up the throttle body because that does need to be tight. We don't need any intake manifold leaks. And then I will tie in the blow-off valve to that nipple that I previously tapped 1/8 in PT, and we'll just see if the blow-off valve goes, because we need that in our lives. Let's see. We got the outlet of the intercooler coming up. Sorry, it's trying to focus. Outlet of the intercooler coming up, around and in. No clamps on anything except for back of the throttle body stuff, and then the back side of the MAF sensor, just so we don't have a leak here. That'll screw with the MAF signal itself. This is on quite a bit, and there's a bead that's rolled right there. Well, it's actually welded on. So and then I've got the blow-off valve plumbed to that vacuum line right there, so it has vacuum signal. Yes, I did put it through the dipstick tube because it'll hold it down just temporarily. And let's see what happens. Let's see how much noise it makes. Might not be happy because the turbo is going to push some air through the MAF that it's not anticipating, but it'll get over it. up, which is a good sign, and it's kind of just hanging out there open. Now, the MAF sensor doesn't care where it's getting its air from, either the blow-off valve coming in or also through the turbo. It doesn't matter, because the MAF sensor is downstream of both those things, so it's happy with whatever it's seeing. So the car's warmed up, because I had to warm it up to move it around and get it over here. So let's see if it goes whoop-shoo. So we may have to take this for a drive and see how it does, but so far the car's not throwing a check engine light or anything weird, or I don't know, it likes it. This is the audio inside the car with the windows up. I don't have the radio on or anything. You can tell the car's not very loud. It's actually quite nice. Oh, I can hear the blow-off valve. I don't know if it's going to come through on audio, but I definitely heard it. So that's cool. And the car's not running weird at all. Not having any check engine lights or anything. I don't even have the downstream O2s screwed in. They're just like zip tied up right now. Still plugged in, so it won't throw a fault automatically, you know what I mean, because they're still plugged in, but they're not taking any data on anything, just sitting there. Yeah, I can definitely hear it. Like I said, it can't really make any boost because of all it's not sealed up. There's nothing sealed up, so maybe a pound, which is definitely within the range of the MAF sensor to make corrections, which is why it's really nice and easy to stick with the MAF sensor when you do these things. Because obviously I'm still not throwing a check engine light, and I'm doing all kinds of shit with there's more air going into the engine than definitely without the turbo, because the turbo is spooled up, right? It's blowing air. It may not be forcing it with pressure, but it is blowing it in, and the car's not even really driving weird, which I figured it would drive weird because the MAF signal is going to be dirty, but that air straightener, let's see if I can get it to, oh, see? Oh, transmission fault, no. Check suspension, okay. Anyways. So maybe we did make about a pound of boost or something. We did something that the MAF sensor didn't like with the factory tune anyways, because it'll put the car into a limp mode. You can see now it's not on. So probably got a little bit more than I expected out of it. One of the boots was off as well, so all I did was cycle the key off and then back on, and then now the transmission's not in a fault code. And go drive it around and go see. There you go. Now it's shifting. It'll just stick into third gear when the MAF sensor doesn't like something. So anytime you guys get any problems with the MAF sensor or anything like that with the factory tune, obviously with once the car's tuned, it won't have those issues, because likely just turn that off. unless there's a legit like fault with the MAF sensor. So yeah, that's kind of expected. I was actually surprised it didn't do it sooner. So cool. But yeah, the ECU definitely does not like a turbo putting boost through it without a tune. Obviously, that's a pretty normal thing. Factory ECUs don't tend to like that when they're not on boosted cars. But the drivability is, that's the thing that floors me. I thought the drivability was going to be shit because it is seeing different airflow, sometimes more airflow, sometimes factory airflow, and it's compensating really well, which is strange. It's almost like it wants it, you know? Yeah, I'm just backing in now to where this thing lives. So, all in all, first test drive, good. With the car able to make some power. So, like I was saying, this boot did come off, and likely what gave the transmission fault, and all I did was cycle the key, and then the MAF sensor was happy, and that was it. So, going forward, now I know, if I get a little bit too rowdy, then before I get a tune, then the MAF sensor is not going to be happy. All in all, this has been super easy. Just build a turbo kit and slap it on. If you know how to TIG weld and you know how to get these kinds of things done, I've done a lot harder cars. It's just finding the people that you know, in the world that want to do it to a Maserati. This isn't really a car that you, I guess, do these things to. So this is kind of like answering the questions that nobody's asking, where nobody really cares if these cars get a turbo. Maybe a handful of people in the world care. But whatever. I've wanted to do this for a while, and like I was telling you guys before, you can see it's welded on down here, and then it comes up and around, and then into the MAF, and it seems to be happy with it. I'm not happy with how angled the oil system is. I think it needs to be straight up and down like that. So what I need to work on next is this mount right here, and see how I can rotate this and clock it to where it's straight up and down, because I am getting some oil right here. You can see just a smidge, but that's not a good sign. That means I need to straighten this up. Can't do anything about the clocking this way, but having it straight up and down will help a ton with the way the oil drains down. If you guys don't know how the seals on a turbo work, it's basically just a piston ring. So it's not like a rubber seal, it's not like a Viton seal, it's not anything like that. On the shaft itself has a piston ring on either side, and the draining of the oil keeps the oil out of the intake or exhaust. Well, I have the turbo tilted back, so it's going to want to drain oil into the exhaust naturally. And then I've got the drain at this pretty drastic angle here, and you know, I was like, yeah, we'll just see what happens. And you know, it doesn't smoke, but having oil in the exhaust is telling me that while it sits, the oil then drains out of the back of the turbo. The residual oil that's left in the housing, the center housing, the CHRA, is not able to go down the drain line right here. So it's basically just draining back past that little piston ring. Like I said, it's not a perfect seal. So you got to give the turbo all it can give as far as the drain's concerned. This is just not going to work. It did enable me though, like a jig almost, a jig that you could try to get, you know, everything else done. It enabled me to get all this other stuff done. That was an easy way to do it, but I think it's time for to reclock the turbo. Kind of thought this might happen, but you never know unless you try. The turbo itself, I mean, it's getting oil. Like, you know, I came out here and the turbo was still spinning. It's a ball bearing turbo, so it doesn't really need a lot. But, you know, it does need to be clocked. It's the right thing to do. So that'll be the next thing I'm working on, is clocking the oil feed line in this direction rather than sideways like that. And then that'll be the best that I can give it. So if it has problems past that, then I'm gonna have to get creative on what I figure out here. I do not want to clock the turbo. I don't want to take the lean out of it or anything like that, because I have my whole downpipe made for it and everything. As far as the hot pipes that go to the turbo, that wouldn't be too bad because I have a V-band right there, and I could just make this short section, so I'm not worried about that. But the downpipe for the turbo, I do not want to remake because that took, I think, probably about 16 to 20 hours to make this downpipe that goes out of the turbo and out. So that is the next thing that needs to get figured out. The cold side, though, is completely done. Nothing's going to change on the cold side. Nothing. It's just, it is what it is. So I'm glad that that's all done. And then just hoses and a pump for the intercooler side of the circuitry. And, you know, she's you know, a fuel system away from getting a tune, and we'll see what she does. I might even use the factory rails with a return style fuel system, because I think I have that figured out too, how to use the factory rails with return style fuel system with my Demon Red Eye 700cc injectors that I got for it, and then a regulator, and then either a 255 or Walbro 450 in the tank, leaning more towards 255 because we're not shooting for 1,000 horsepower, and if I go on ethanol later, it's just a fuel pump swap away from putting a 450, and then, you know, the won't really change the tune at all, and an E85 tune is got to get retuned anyways. So I'm kind of leaning towards 250. I don't know. Anyways, I got to figure that out, which I want to go with. I have both, so you know, I could throw whatever I want in here. But that's the current update on the Maserati turbo car. Yeah, kind of it's really nice to get this done on the cold side. And I guess I didn't show the spacing on everything. So obviously it's spaced from the fan, it's spaced on the back. And then I showed you guys the spacing to the, to the rack. Let's see if I can see it from the top. So here's the rack right here. Can't really see it. But if you watched the video all the way through, you saw it. So, yeah, success.